First come the worst, my peoples come first. I got worldwide family all over the earth, and I worry about them all for whatever it's worth.
Hi everyone, I'm Rhett Godfrey. I'm a board member of the Blockchain for Social Impact Coalition. For those of you who just joined us, we just heard from Blockchain, the World Bank, and the World Economic Forum on what governments and multilateral organizations are building on the blockchain. It was a really fascinating conversation. Thank you for moderating, Vanessa. So we are going to shift tone for a moment, and we're going to move from talking about government to talking about fair housing, certainly a hot topic. To do so, we have a guest today, Clara Gromaches from Comunitas, the founder of Comunitas, in fact. Clara is an architect based in Spain. She specializes in sustainable architecture and co-housing communities. As an architect, she has worked on commissioned projects in Spain and cooperative housing initiatives in Morocco, Argentina, and India. Her passion for fair housing brought her to blockchain as a tool to create sustainable and decentralized communities, both in the physical space and in the digital space. As part of the Comunitas team that worked as a very successful team in blockchain's incubator in 2020 before the world fell apart, of course. She focused on building an app that has now focused its attention on collective negotiation for tenants, providing immediate solutions during times of economic stability. So thanks so much for joining us, Clara. I'm excited about our conversation today. So a lot has changed since the end of the BSIC incubator. The world has been turned upside down, and fair housing as a critical need has risen from important to, at this point, I would say, necessary for a large portion of the global population. So can you tell us what's gone on with Comunitas as an initiative and what you're doing now?
Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you for inviting us and the BIC board for having us here. So yes, we are currently focusing on creating a tool that enables collective negotiation for fair rent prices here in Barcelona. And so this tool is going to connect same grade landlords tenants together so that they can be more powerful on their outcomes in negotiations. It's true that we started in the BSIC and we presented a tool to create and manage co-housing solutions. But our strategy is kind of like to target directly the immediate need for solutions to these housing crisis here in Spain. And we decided to pivot a little bit and work towards providing immediate solutions when negotiating for prices.
Yeah, great. So can you tell us a little bit about the project you're working on now for tenant negotiation? I think it's a pretty fascinating project, and I think it's a really creative use of blockchain to solve a problem that requires more trust than traditional negotiations could allow.
Exactly. So I will sum up a little bit like the context here in Spain so you can understand why this is important and in this context, because the 50 or around 50-65% of the income is spent on only rent in average in big cities here in Spain. And whereas in the US or New York, the landlord property ownership is open data. Here in Spain, it's public, but you have to pay for it. And actually like the process to get there, it's really tough and requires a lot of bureaucracy. And also we have that since the 2008 crisis, a lot of the properties have shifted towards big companies or big banks, and we only have a 2% of the market in affordable housing, even less than 2%. So it means that it's really tough for people to get together and start like putting a little bit of pressure to ask for better outcomes, whether it's in price or the length of the contract, or if it's, you know, like an increase or an improve of their conditions, or implement sustainable energies. Because of that, we think like an app that could put together these great landlords, tenants, and push together to negotiation could be like a great solution for that, especially introducing the blockchain in some parts, to avoid, you know, like moving or, you know, negative reactions from, you know, these landlords.
Yeah, great, thanks. And you're working with an organization right now on the project. Can you tell us, if you're able to, that organization, and then we'll get into some of the meat of these protocols, which I think are pretty exciting.
Yes, we are currently in conversations to reach a collaboration agreement. We are really excited because we think it could be a really powerful collaboration. They are working on what we say like a labor union, kind of a labor union, but everything is presential and pretty much low on technology. So we think like an implementation of an app and the introduction of blockchain could have a powerful impact in the number of people that could join and the number of people that could have, you know, better rights. Yeah, basically what we're really excited to introduce blockchain, and also like the power that the initiative could have in terms of replication to other cities.
Yeah, okay, great. So of course, I'm calling you right now from New York City, which negotiations on rent has been a hot topic. Now, of course, when you're dealing with a tenant who has a big building with many tenants inside, there's a risk with negotiating your rent down, that if you say, I'm only willing to pay 20% less, the tenant can say, okay, well then get the hell out of here. But of course, with collective negotiating power, that's not going to be the case. You're not going to kick out all of your tenants. But there is a sort of an adverse selection issue when you're dealing with this struggle that I think your solution of blockchain has an interesting way of solving. So can you talk a little bit about the protocol of how you do the anonymous tokenizing and bidding of these negotiation contracts?
So basically, we're investigating introducing the blockchain to, you know, hidden the identity of the tenants, and this is like especially like an important part because people might be afraid of, you know, not joining part of, you know, a collective negotiation if they feel their identity is exposed. And also blockchain here could be really powerful to indicate a commitment from them, right? Because if you have hidden identity people, you need some kind of, you know, kind of motivation from them, and especially like economic, to prove they are interested and they want to take action, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really exciting. I think what you're speaking of is if you're going to have anonymized, you know, if individuals anonymously are going to announce that they are interested in taking part in a collective negotiation for rent reduction, then you need to have some way to make sure that they have skin in the game.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
To show commitment and to show that they want to take action. And yeah, it's true that there's a thin line between, you know, like getting kicked out of your home and getting, you know, a fair contract, let's say. So with collective negotiation, I think you can at least reach a more fair agreement, both parts, let's say, without being in the risk of having to leave your place.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like about this particular blockchain application is that it's not simply a technological solution, that you are actually in partnership right now to build this blockchain layer into a for a legal organization who does tenant negotiations. So this is a way for tenants to do the work themselves within a building to set themselves up for then the traditional legal negotiations that would take place.
Exactly, that's it. I cannot tell you like a lot because we haven't like closed the agreement.
I'm sure, of course, I get you. Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to talk more than I could, but it is true that they have the experience of already like 2 years fighting and having, you know, like legal negotiations with any kind of, you know, big companies or big landlords. And we have like the knowledge in the technology and in blockchain to also like kind of like boost all these practices that are taking place already here in Barcelona and also in other cities in Madrid, because they are also connected to Madrid, to Valencia, Palma, which are the areas where, you know, rents have increased like outrageously.
Yeah. All right. And I think in terms of the applicability of a tool like this in a marketplace, it sounds like, considering the statistic that you told us in the beginning of your talk, that in Spain, on average, 60% of an individual's income goes to housing. A tool like this, I think, could be a significant step forward in helping to improve the individual of a tenant to be able to negotiate much better rates for that housing.
Yeah,
especially in where only 2%, you said, of Spain has access to fair housing, which is certainly a low percentage. Yeah,
especially like the situation is quite, you know, dramatic for young people like us, like all the founders. We are like under 35. And for us, like for our generation, it's like 65% of income average goes only to rent, which is, yeah, it's a huge problem. And I think the strategy we are taking right now, that it's more like targeting directly this issue, coming up with an immediate solution, and then from then start, you know, educating and leading the audience toward new ways of housing that could be, you know, co-housing or intentional communities, could be a better strategy to, you know, address kind of like two problems at the same time. So first we solve, you know, the immediate act, and then we try to come up with solutions that take obviously longer and much more time to build.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Clara. We have time for about one question if anyone wants to type it into the Q&A. And in the meantime, Clara, how can people find out more about Comunitas and your team's work and partnerships in both negotiating for fair housing as well as your blockchain solutions for co-housing?
So I will leave the link of our website here in the chat. It's comunitas.co, and people can sign up for the invitations and news, upcoming news of the platform. And also they can reach us if they have like any questions, or they can just say hi. We will be really pleased to answer and talk to them.
Okay, great, Clara. So as we have, we'll wait a few seconds to see if any questions come through. I have one observation on the project, which I find to be exciting, which is in the world of blockchain, we hear a lot about, crypto anarchists, but in this case, we're talking about crypto socialists and crypto socialism, the ability to have, to bring group negotiation power through the blockchain is something that I find to be an exciting interface between the world of collective negotiations and collective powers, and of course, being able to tackle such an issue like fair housing, especially in times of need, like the economic downturn in wake of COVID-19. So thanks so much, Clara. Unfortunately, we just ran out of time for questions, but if anyone has any follow-up they'd like to do with Clara, please reach out to her. Again, she'll put all of her information into the chat. And I'm going to pass off now. I just saw our colleague Ravi join on to introduce our next panelist. I'm very excited about this. So I'll pass the mic off to you, Robbie.